Hey, we're back with another episode of Cooking Weird Veggies Without a Recipe. Today we're going to be cooking spaghetti squash, which is a somewhat strange veggie. It's a squash, but when you bake it, it kind of falls into these weird strands, which have these kind of weird fibery texture, but they're pretty good also. They taste like squash and they're pretty nice and crunchy. And I'm just going to scoop out all the seeds here and try to get out all the ribbing if I can. I'm just using a spoon to scrape it out. Don't worry if you get a bit of the flesh out too, it's worth it to get all of those weird strands of guts out. And now I'm going to kind of brush it down with some olive oil. You really don't want to put too much in or else it'll go all mushy, but a bit is fine. Now I'm going to use a brush to kind of brush it around. I'm going to sprinkle a good amount of salt on it to flavor it. I was going to try crazy salt, but I didn't feel like it. A good amount of garlic powder to add some nice flavor and just kind of brush it on. And I'm going to put these upside down to let them kind of steam a bit better and then throw them into the oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for around 35 minutes. While we do that, I'm going to shape this beautiful Italian sausage I got from a friend into these meatballs. These are going to be perfect meatballs. They have like a bit of onion in too, so they're soft. I've got some garlic here that I'm just going to peel and get ready to crush, just kind of crushing them to get all the skin off and cutting off the ends. It's a bit old, so we got some sprouts on it, but it doesn't really matter. I'm melting some butter into a pan. I'm crushing in my garlic in there. I'm putting in a pretty good amount because cooked garlic is pretty mellow, and I'm just going to scrape it all in, and then I'm just going to saute it until it's nice and brown and caramelized, and add in a bit more butter. Now I'm just pouring in a whole can of peeled San Marzano tomatoes. These are pretty nice quality, and I'm just gonna kind of simmer it down. I'm also going to throw in some sun-dried tomatoes, which really amp the flavor of the sauce. And I'm also going to throw in some extra butter, because that really improves the tomato sauce. And I'm just going to kind of let it simmer down for a bit until it's kind of nice and flavorful, and crush the tomatoes as I go. And while I do that, I'm going to start heating a pan over the back burner. This is going to be for our meatballs, which I'm going to throw into the pan and kind of start searing, because this gives it a nice crust and adds a lot of kind of cooked flavor to them. And the secret to this sauce is you actually blend it, so I'm going to just throw all the sauce into a blender and then just kind of make it all nice and smooth. And once you blend the sauce, you'll notice that it takes on like this really beautiful kind of orange color, which I really like. The kind of texture might be a bit off-putting for the presentation, but it's really worth it for the really nice cooked through flavor that this gets you. I just have the sausage meatballs kind of just frying in the back burner, and I'm gonna throw in a whole bunch of basil and salt into the sauce, and a few spoonfuls of sugar, which really brighten up the sauce. And I've got my spaghetti squash here that I baked for 35 minutes. I'm gonna use a fork to kind of rough it up a bit so it turns into the strands, and I'm gonna cover up my meatballs so they cook through, and then after a bit I'm gonna just throw them back into the sauce and then stir it up. And I would usually use the fond, but I kind of burned it, and if you have any burnt fond into the sauce, it's gonna kind of ruin the sauce and make it taste burnt. So I'm gonna kind of stir it up, and then yeah, we can serve. So yeah, there's our pasta sauce, and yeah, it's really beautiful looking pasta actually. The texture of the squash is kind of off-putting, but it's still delicious, and it's not any worse or better than pasta if you ask me. It's kind of different food, and the meatballs are delicious. They're full of this kind of sausagey, porky flavor, and yeah, I definitely say this is a success. It tastes absolutely delicious. Another success. And yeah, just remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Even though these are really short, they take a lot of time for me to make and are pretty exhausting. So yeah, if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. And yeah, thank you for watching.